I'm here with my buddy Putin the Cat. I want to talk about something about investing because, man, there's a lot of bullshit going on. I'll tell you what, I just got an email from Fabian from Liberty. Fabian for Liberty, whatever you want to call him. He's quite obviously, hey, everybody's they're trying to make a buck. Now, I guess I'm trying to make a buck, but I realized something. You have to give something good, useful, that actually helps people for me to actually make a dollar. And actually I'm making pennies compared off of this type of stuff versus, you know, actually pulling in clients into an office at $150 an hour or something, right? So, but, you know, I shoot from the hip on this, and I talk very frank, and I don't have to talk professional, and so I don't mind it. But let me put it this way. You know, Fabian for Liberty, you know, he sends me out this email, and it's like, you know, you've been my subscriber for so long, and he's sending it out to everybody. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's like, it makes it sound like he's sending it just to me. And, you know, it's about real estate. Real estate. No money down. You don't have to be a landlord. It's just, but try this free trial offer. So he's promoting some bullshit, which is 90% of everybody out there. I'm going to tell you something right about the real estate market. It might be, according to conventional wisdom, according to the, you know, the mainstream, it might be in a bubble again in a lot of places, because in a lot of places, real estate prices, depends on where it is, are up to 2006 levels, like right before the bust. And that's because a lot of foreign buyers came in there, like Chinese and stuff, Japanese. They're buying this stuff up, man, at high prices. So in certain areas, it's up to like 2006 prices. But that doesn't mean it's a bad investment. But you know what? You don't need a newsletter to freaking tell you that shit. I mean, if you're a professional in real estate business, I mean, they do all kinds of studies and stuff. There's all kinds of, you know, how much traffic comes by if it's for a business, you know, what the tax rate's going to be and what the tax rate might change to, and all this type of stuff. The demographics of the area. You know, you don't get some damn newsletter. But, you know, it might not be a bad idea to buy property if you decide, you know, to go out to Utah or something like that and hide out in the hills because you think the world's going to cave in, or Nevada or something up there, Hopi country, right? But I'm going to tell you what you really should invest in right now. I got a good investment in this stuff. Guns. This is an old M1 carbine, you know, with a folding stock. I like it. You know, it's got a pistol grip on it. It's the same thing as the old M1 carbine in World War II. And I always stated, you know, you load the rounds, and it's loaded too, right? And it's off safe too. Anyway, but I'm a safe person because my finger is not on the trigger and nobody's around anyway. But the thing is, with these things, you load the rounds a little shorter so they feed good, because this thing usually, a lot of people in World War II didn't like these because they didn't feed that well, but they ain't bad. You load them right. I'll say that's the #1 investment you can make right now. Guns, ammunition, farm tools, and some kind of like generators and things like that. You know, if you're like, if you're some big bucks investor, probably the oil industry might be one of your safest bets around. If you got some serious big bucks and you already got a good amount of metals, probably the oil industry might be one of the better things around. You know why? Because they pay dividends. They pay dividends, and oil ain't going away. And also, I think the Middle East tensions are probably going to bring up the oil stocks eventually, and even the natural gas stocks, and maybe and also the mining stocks in silver and gold. So if you got some serious big bucks that's just somehow sitting in a pile of cash, that would probably be what best things to do for it in general, and split your bets. With those type of industries, the oil industry, the mining industry, and the natural gas industry are probably they're okay. And as a matter of fact, like the oil industry, like I said, they pay dividends. That's something you got to watch for. You get money because you put money down, they pay you money, right? If there's a problem I think oil's going to go up because of screw this real estate shit. I mean, in real estate, unless you find a deal on land and you want to land because of something and you just don't want to pay too many taxes on it because it's like there's no development on it, that might be okay. Farmland might be okay, like that might be okay. It's like it's maybe you get tax credits like crazy for farmland. That's if you're a farmer. There's like all kinds of tax credits on that. And you know, I don't have the freaking software right in front of me, but There's like a gazillion tax credits on farming too. Big time, big time. You'd be surprised. And you know what? Nobody on YouTube talks about that. You know why? You see, nobody on YouTube wants to get their hands dirty that's actually like into financial stuff. And actually, most of these people that talk about financial stuff, they don't know anything. They never did it. They just talk conspiracies. That's all they freaking know. Big deal. And I don't give a shit if they went to college and all that kind of crap, because I noticed in the financial world, there's so many people with initials after their name, they don't have any common sense. They can't see, you know, the big gorilla sitting right there. That's what's wrong with this situation. You're like, you know, looking at all the details. I can do both. I can look at details, and I've got, the thing is, I watch out for curveballs, and I keep street smarts about me. I just say, if you had like $1 gazillion and you know what to do with it, yeah, get your precious metals and stuff. Mark Farber's over 25% invested in gold. That's a good one. And if you don't have guns, get them. Like if you got millions of dollars, you ought to have dozens of freaking guns at least. You ought to have reloading equipment and everything else like that. No fucking around. It's a very good investment. You know, the other thing is the oil industry. It pays dividends. That would be a very good thing. Just the big guys, the ones that are safe. You know, and just, you know, if they're paying dividends, you're going to get money. You're going to get steady stream of money from that kind of stuff. It's good. And the natural gas industry right now is still depressed. Natural gas is probably going to go up. The mining industry is way depressed, and that's going to go up too. Those are good investments. But real estate in general, forget it, man. That's another bubble in the making again, because, you know, Bernanke's been doing everything to pump up that industry, and it's probably going to crash again, man. It's freaking bullshit. I wouldn't touch that shit. You know, unless in certain instances. I mean, you know, the industry could be shitty in general, and you as a person who knows the industry could still make a lot of money. But that's not for the average person, though. That's not for some person that says, subscribe to my newsletters. You know, Fabian for Liberty's pushing this shit, man. That guy, man, he's another conspiracy freak. There are a whole bunch of them on here that are conspiracy freaks. And I don't like doing these videos as much as doing how-to videos, because I'll get my hands dirty and do shit too, and I know how to do stuff right. I like doing those kind of videos because I think they actually help people more. But if you really want to get, you know, it depends on what your level of income is. If you don't have too much money, guns and ammo. Guns and ammo. Reloading equipment. I'm going to go over a lot of that type of stuff, how to load ammo. And certain tricks, how to get a little more out of ammo and stuff. 357s and stuff, you get a little more, eke a little bit more out of it. And how to be careful with loading ammo, because I think those type of things, if you're a smaller guy, that's number one. That's number one. If you're a really big guy, if you got like, and if you don't have metals, get them, because Mark Farber, the guy is not going to be wrong. You know, I'm going to say this, I said this several times, but you know, before Mark Farber got into his 25% gold, I picked out 1 minute of something he was talking about for like over an hour. And in that 1 minute, he said many of his Jewish businessmen friends, they seem to be very good with, you know, having a nose which way the money goes. You know, and they always say that's why the Jews guys have a big nose, because they're sniffing which way the money goes. I don't know. Just a stupid joke. But he says that many of them were over 25%, and some were like over 50% invested in gold and silver and related mining industries and other industries related to gold and silver, because they're betting on major problems in the financial system. And he said at that time he was under 20%. Now he's over 25% physical gold. So, you know, I always got the thing in my mind, he partly got this idea from what some of his Jewish friends were doing. Those guys I respect, man. They know something's coming up. And, you know, this Cyprus thing shows something coming up right now, too, because it looks like, you know, the West is trying to steal from the East, you know, and Russia's getting pissed off at the Western bankers and they're throwing them out of their country. So there's going to be like currency wars going on, I guess you would call it, or bankster wars and stuff. And that don't mean your money's going to be safe and that kind of stuff. So people might start taking it out and putting it in gold and silver, and then the price will start going up. But not overnight. Not overnight. It takes a while for people to freaking wake up. But You know, if you already got gold and silver and you don't have guns, you're lopsided. You need guns. You need ammunition. You need reloading equipment. You also need to know how to grow crops, garden, that type of stuff. That's going to be your #1 investments all the way. So I want to get into more and more how-to videos, even on guns, cars, construction, anything like that. Health, how to heal, that's #1 too. And, you know, big bucks investors, first off, they don't go on YouTube. I got $30 million saying I got 30. I'm gonna go look on YouTube and I'm gonna go subscribe to a newsletter from Greg Manarino. He'll tell me what to do with it. Bullshit. They got people that get paid big bucks to advise them for what they want, and actually that's a lot what I had to do. Trouble is, you know, if I was like Brother John F. and I told somebody, yeah, silver's going to $100 by the end of the year, and I told him to dump his money in and he lost millions of dollars, I'd probably be dead. But not him, he just freaking makes money on YouTube. Oh, there's a bunch of people listening to that bullshit, and I'm like, man, you gotta be kidding me. This guy's, at first I used to listen to him a little bit because he sounded like he knew what he's doing with these charts, and I'm never into that kind of stuff. You know, the charts with the, you know, I kind of knew about a little bit of this stuff, but that wasn't really finance and accounting. That's like, you know, people who are into day trading, stuff like that, so I never really got into that. But so I was paying attention to what he said, but I think there's some truth to a lot of that stuff, but obviously he doesn't have a head for freaking figuring out which way the price is going to go, which one way or the other. Because if you did, you wouldn't be on YouTube. You'd just be doing your own thing, making money. And once in a while, I make money on this stuff too. You know, I made some money on silver. Actually, I got lucky a few years ago. I put double leverage down, and I got like well over 200% on top of my basis. You know, that was pretty cool. But it actually made some money. Like I was trading around a little bit, and then you had 2012. You know, I made some on triple leverage. I made some, you know. But then there's some stuff I'm down on. But overall, I'm up. I don't actually do too bad on it, and I'm just an amateur all the way. But, you know, common sense is the thing I go by. You know, if something pulls back really hard, and fundamentally it's a damn good buy, then go buy it. And then wait. It's probably going to go up. It's just simple, right? Usually that works out pretty well for me, and that's probably, you know, you got to be patient. Can't be like, I better get in there right now, or be scared that the sky's going to fall. But, you know, as far as like investing for the average person don't have a lot of money. They're freaking going to buy some coins here and there. But the thing is, if you don't have any guns, get yourself some guns. Get yourself some stuff for gardening. Get yourself the growing trays. Get yourself a bunch of those sprouting seeds. Store up on food. And if you got a lot of money and you happen to see this channel, I'm going to tell you right now, I think the oil industry and potash is another one with the fertilizer is going to be, that's another one that's going to be way short. The natural gas industry, and also the mining stocks, which look like shit for the last so many years. You know, all the miners, I'm noticing they're starting to creep up again a little bit, maybe. Those are probably going to be really good stocks. And if that's for a longer term hold, but you're probably going to get double and triple on that shit in a few years. No, or less than that. If they have a war in the Middle East, all those areas I mentioned are going to go way up. And if you got a lot of money, you know enough, you're not to go look on YouTube for information. You might get some pretty good information from me, because actually that's what I was doing. I was advising people about shit like this, you know? And, you know, basically you got to crunch a lot of numbers, too, because I did, you know, I don't just shoot from the hip. Actually, the way you actually find out what goes on with people's money is you have to dig into areas where they're actually losing and where they're gaining. What product is making the money, which product isn't, and, you know, marketing analysis and stuff. And it takes a lot of statistical analysis, and actually a lot of times the accounting systems don't do everything you want them to do. So actually I used Access 97, you know. Access is a database. I used Access 97. I don't like the new shit. And I used a lot of Access, and I used a lot of, you know, tables and stuff, and various complex formulas. I did a lot of heavy Excel spreadsheet work, and that's what tells you where your business is doing good. And, you know, I was like the guy I was the go-to guy. You know, the guy would, you know, the guy with the millions would go to me. Yeah, and you know, there's some bullshit artist he'd pull in the office that, you know, for $200 an hour to give him advice, I'd be in there. And I'd tell him what I thought later on. And guess who he'd listen to? Me. That's why I always seem to get around those kind of people. Now, the next time I go work someplace, I wonder what the hell I'm going to work for. Because, you know, I just won't work in a regular place, man. I mean, unless if it's a regular place that's got a super big client, that might be another story. And that was one of the things I did before was, you know, I had a really big client. And a lot of crazy shit I seem to get involved in because maybe I'm a devil. I don't know. But I'll give you a straight scoop on here because the way I look at it is common sense and street smarts goes a hell of a lot further. And I ain't out here to freaking really sell you nothing. The only thing I have on here is, and actually with the advice you get off of the channel I give you, is probably 100 times better than most people give out there. Gerald Salenti, the whole lot of them, man. Because, you know, I'm going to tell you straight up, don't go fucking, if you don't have a lot of money, don't go fucking around buying stocks and shit like that. If you don't have a lot of money, go buy yourself some guns and ammo, garden tools, regular tools, reloading equipment, you know, sprouting trays, vitamins, health stuff, the things I mentioned that are, you know, apple cider vinegar, coconut oil, honey. Store those kind of things. Don't go fucking around stocks. If you got big bucks, like those areas I told you in general about oil, natural gas, and the mining industry, they're probably going to pay off really good. I wouldn't be scared to go on them even though they're saying they're down. And, you know, and a lot of brokers would be telling you, you put your stuff in an annuity. Anyway, I got a head for it, so, you know, I'm not worried about it because I know I'm going to make money on my own. So, that's the way I look at it.